Welcome to the Mavens of Marketing, a weekly podcast hosted by me, Rachel Durkin.
And me, Kerry Barrett. We talk all things marketing, innovation, sales, and business growth strategies, and the standard tried and true marketing techniques.
Come for the conversation, stay for the savvy insights.
And the borderline inappropriate jokes.
Welcome to this episode of the Mavens of Marketing. I am one of your lovely and talented co-hosts. My name is Kerry Barrett, and guess what? Vicki Harte is joining us today. How are you?
I am amazing. I started my tinfoil hat collection.
I do fully see that. I have been wondering for a while when that was going to come out of the closet, if you will. And
oh no, I have it all the time. It just, you don't always wear your Nordic tinfoil hat with horns.
No, you don't always wear your finest. You try and keep the crazy on the inside for the Zoom calls, except now. So you will see our also lovely and talented guest, Eugenia Kuzmina. And if you, the name rings a bell or you recognize the face, you have seen her, I'm sure, no doubt, in any one of a number of fashion shoots, modeling shows, fashion shows, and all over high-end fashion magazines. So she's getting her hair did for a film, and she is getting extensions. So for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, you get to revel in the visuals in all of their glory. For those of you who are listening to this podcast, I suggest you go check out the YouTube channel. Because Eugenia is in the salon chair, Vicki and I decided that we would join the under construction party. Vicki's got her foils in her hair, and I've got my facial mask on that, like I said, I'm pretty sure is only supposed to be on for 10 minutes before my upper dermis begins to crack and peel. Nevertheless, we'll give it a whirl.
I'm pretty sure you're going to look 30 years younger, which now takes you into preteen.
I'll be in utero. Are you kidding me?
Please.
Yeah.
Please.
So Eugenia, we've yammered on enough. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience and tell them all about what you do?
Hello, everyone. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for being here and welcome to the Real Blonde Club. So as you can see, it's all an illusion. I'm reporting here from Hollywood at Adriana Hair Salon. Thank God for a lot of help. Obviously, I need it, in my life. And, kind of saving time, being a mom and a working mom. That's what usually you do. This is the real thing. I have no makeup on. It's like in between shoots and films and everything else. So I'm here for you guys.
Yeah, well, you're getting your hair done for a film that you're about to be shooting, correct?
Yes, yeah. So it's been pretty busy in pandemic. I've been really lucky. Shot Guy Ritchie film in January. We shot it in Turkey with all the procedures, testing. And it was pretty intense, having hundreds of extras on set as well. And then just finished a film with Bruce Willis and a TV show called I Can See Your Voice, not my voice. You can see my voice. No, I Can See Your Voice. That's
there we go.
Show that Ken John is hosting. and yeah, I'm in a new film. It's about Rockstar, and I kind of play this Russian badass. So, they want really long hair and really blonde and bleached. And it's specific marketing as we're speaking, because it's a lot of acting is about marketing, and every actor I think should learn how to market themselves.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
In reading about you, and there's so many accomplishments you have, and you have done an amazing job at establishing yourself as a brand, and you have these multiple brands under you. So not just the mom's situation, which I hear is just amazing. Tell me about from a marketer's perspective, right? You don't want to how did you do that? And what did you
bring in the right audiences and the Model Mom TV, which is the blog Vicki was talking about, but then you have your modeling career and your comedy career and your acting career and what other careers do you have that we don't know about?
That you're allowed to talk about on Well, are we PG or can we go wherever
We
we
go
want to
all over the place.
Okay, good. All right.
I love it. Yeah, starting a singing career next and producing as well.
Hashtag I feel very underaccomplished, but it's not about me.
Sorry. I can't do hair, obviously, so I'm definitely need help with
Well,
that.
we all
Where'd
have
you-
our flaws.
Yeah, where'd you find this lazy person, Kerry? Jeez Louise.
For me, it's interesting because I come from post-Soviet Russia and communism. So the marketing obviously was all about like Soviet propaganda, right? So that was the only thing. And we were not taught to promote anything else. So for me, self-promotion is a really hard thing, like coming from there as well, and I definitely believe in teamwork. And also like selling anything was kind of hard because I wasn't educated about money as a child. But, I got to be in the modeling world, and obviously I learned a lot from other people who hire me, like from all the production, I work with L'Oreal. So I know, I'm interested to learn always from like designers, how they produce their shows and what works. And then when I became an actor, you are a product as well. So you have to know how to sell it. Like it's more than just the face, there's more elements attached to that. So I took a few courses and I figured out it's not about like selling point. It's about really finding truly authentically who you are and what kind of service you can give to people and how you can elevate them. And then everything else just falls naturally into place. So I think, there's a key element to that. Like you don't know how you look or like, who you are, maybe because you are you, right? You don't question that, but other people can figure it out for you. So that's how I started, doing the marketing. I asked people what they think about like me and like as a product, right? Because as an actor and model, you are the product. It's not, narcissistic. It's just
That's what it
part
is.
of, it is what it is. Yeah. So that's marketing. It's important to know, go to the core of authentic, what the product is. And if it's authentic product and if it elevates people and brings something to their life, then you'll figure out the audience really fast.
Yeah.
I gotta say, you got a lot out of those courses you took because you sound like you have an MBA in marketing, but what it sounds like is it's really intuitive to you. Like as being a model, but you also have this awesome understanding of that's just one aspect of who I am. And there's a lot going on under your, or under, there's a lot going on from a business perspective. And then you see where the opportunities are. And then how do you leverage them to stack on top of each other?
Absolutely. I think they say, and my husband runs a studio, right? A film studio. So I can see that side of production that I learned from him as well, right? And he would always say, like, it's not a show, it's a show business, right? It's for a reason there. Right. So a lot of times, talking from, my experience, there are so many actors that I meet that are so talented and amazing artists, but they just don't have the business aspect of it to make it happen, to be seen, because to be seen, you have to be out there. Mm-hmm. So there are definitely steps. And it's interesting because now I'm producing shows, comedy shows. In pandemic, all the clubs were closed. And, there was a certain scene in comedy, like the Comedy Store, the Laugh Factory, and the Improv. And then they were closed until like a few weeks ago. So a lot of people started opening their own clubs, not knowing how to market them because they wouldn't have the service or the acoustic. Comedy stores set up a certain way. Like a comedian comes up, everybody's there to listen to them. Right. But if you come to a bar, people want to talk and they don't want to specifically talk, do like listen to comedy. So I think that is like an interesting thing, talking about marketing and comedy, for example. And I'm on producing shows. I'm coming to New York next week, you guys.
What? Yeah. So our hair will all be did, and then we can meet up and just. Oh, Adriana, are you coming? Because I may need a spot.
I wish, but I won't be in the country since I have another salon in South America. So I'm traveling down to South America for a week. But I wish.
I'm so sorry about that. I'm so sorry that you don't have an
Me too.
Jet setter.
Yeah. He's amazing, talking with Adriano like about hair. He used to work with L'Oreal and be a chemist for a lot of products. And we talk about the hair business as well, which is interesting, in itself, like marketing salons and
Yeah.
how it works after pandemic for his business as well.
Well, you bring up another amazing point, and you talk about having a business acumen, right? Like we can be innate, certain things can be innate to us, we have certain talents. I have a 16 and a 13-year-old, and both one's loves to play the guitar. I mean, like is amazing at guitar and a drummer, but I'm like, you can be a musician if you want, but you have to learn business first. And from business, because if you are creative, often that
it doesn't matter. I mean,
yeah, often that, and then from business, you'll learn how to market yourself. And so, and we talk about, doing a little sneak peek, you're quite the influencer, right? So as an influencer and people are looking up to you in these different channels, how do you build that influencer base? Because that is absolutely,
a huge part of the marketing, and it's only getting bigger.
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of times I think people don't understand that, things change over time. So there's no really, Hollywood is a little bit outdated now, and there are different platforms. So now it's all about TikTok. And I know it sounds silly, but there are people who are on TikTok doing specific things and who get residency in Las Vegas and have sold out shows, right?
From TikTok.
From TikTok.
Yes, but and I was with you. I was like, oh my God, TikTok, I'm not doing it. I actually went to Vegas and had a few business meetings and realized that it is just where the kids are. And I have kids as well, and they only watch TikTok and play video games.
Right.
Yeah.
So those are the platforms. And you just take your content. For example, I do Melania character. So I wouldn't do TikTok because I know it's done for 8-year-olds, right? It's like the format, like it's all about dancing videos and cute things and instant gratification. But what you can do is you can take your talent, like your son, like your music, and just apply it to this platform. So at least the kids who like watch that, they can have some quality product on these platforms that are made maybe not, as much as like investment as like a real film, but it's still very relevant. So I think the important thing is know that people who watch it are probably like teenagers, and it really depends. So you always kind of have to stay on your toes with building this audience and just understand, not judge it. Like now there's so many platforms, everybody just wants to click it. Don't work for it. Don't think about it. They want to feel instant pleasure. And actually, if you study the brain science, like it brings oxytocin to you, right? Which is like instant gratification. And that's why we always want like likes and things like that. So the marketers behind all these platforms, they're genius in, the way they do it, which is unfortunate because I'm trying to get my kids, out of the apps, or at the very least educate them about this, that it's actually an addiction. And it's just because it brings some chemicals to your brain. And if you don't understand it, you can get really caught up in that.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because there is a guy on TikTok who worked at Sherwin-Williams. You may have heard of him. And he accumulated 2.5 million followers over the course of maybe 6 months, just by mixing paint. So he would go onto TikTok, he would mix different paint colors, he would add like glitter. I mean, they were still in the Sherwin-Williams, containers, and people were obsessed with it. Of all things, he actually ended up getting fired for posting the videos.
Oh no.
But nevertheless.
Yes, but when you have 2.5 million followers, you're getting paid.
He already got a new job from another company who said, we want you to do this for us because holy cow, this is great marketing for our paint brand, right?
Of course, yeah.
He didn't see.
He became the Bob Ross of TikTok, with happy little trees. Instead, he's like a paint mixologist.
Aside from bringing a brand with him to his next opportunity, he now, side note, also has the ability to monetize TikTok because he can sell ads and everything else. So I think you're right. There's a lot of, there is a lot of, I don't want to say reluctance, but as the older generation.
Yeah.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not any of us, but we're leery of jumping on all of these platforms and like trying to put content out there. But I do think there is an opportunity as long as we do it correctly. I think a lot of times the overwhelm is that we try and do all of the things, and therefore we do none of them really well.
Or we dip our toe in the water, and toe dipping and marketing don't go hand in hand together.
I'm with you, Kerry. You know, for me, it's all about the quality, and I agree with you. Like, that's why I think some movie stars like Keanu Reeves, for example, like they wouldn't have no accounts, you know, social media, just because they're really busy focusing on doing that one project and doing it so well. So it is very important to not overwhelm with quantity and focus on quality of the product for like anything you market after, you know.
Yeah. Hey, I want to ask you a question. Well, you know what? Let me ask you this. I was going to move on to corporate responsibility, but I want to ask you this question. As somebody who is an influencer, is there advice? What is that noise?
It's a car. Sorry, it's Beverly Hills, so a lot of people trying to show their cars.
You know, it's really funny. It sounds just like my Ferrari, which is really embarrassing.
It's a Lamborghini, and you know that's how people trying to get attention and advertise themselves.
Right. They're doing their own form of marketing.
Yeah, yes. I have a VW just went down my street. It's okay.
You could hear it. It needs a new muffler. That's why you could hear it. Yeah. Let me ask you about being an influencer to people that may be listening to this that have an interest in either becoming an influencer, or maybe they're an aspiring influencer, or they're trying to grow their following, and then maybe brands who are interested in working with influencers. Do you have advice or suggestions, thoughts about how to get that going?
Well, you have to know, first question I ever ask is why you're doing what you're doing. So you have to really get to the core of that, like why are you doing? You know, I do things to like spread magic to the world, you know, and share adventure. Like you have to know what's your intention. If you just want to be famous on some platform,
right,
it's not going to work because you're going to chase the, you know, rabbit hole. There's always going to be like another thing, and it's just not going to work. So I think you really have to know what is your service first, right? What are you giving to people, not what are you getting out of it? That's the starting point. When you figure that out, then you just see, you know, which platforms are relevant now. So I would say TikTok, right? So you go on TikTok and figure out what works on TikTok and why people watch certain other influencers. So there's a formula to that. Like they want cute puppies, they want like 3-second comedy, right? So you figure that out. And then you apply your service that you're giving to people to that platform. After that, when you have a really good quality product on the platform, you approach other inspirational influencers and you partner with them to do a video. So you can both, you know, they appreciate you for your product, the other influencer who has millions of followers, and you appreciate them because they will spread it on their platform. Mm-hmm. So that way you kind of snowball to the next level. And after that, you know, you can do more things. Then the companies approach you and they want to be part of you because you build a certain following. And for them, it's good to have you and your product as part of them, you know? So it's kind of like a community work, I would say.
It's like a brand pandemic. It's everywhere. Soon everybody has it.
Yes, totally. Yeah. I mean, that's my point of view. You know, I'm not, and you know, that's just my experience.
Mm-hmm.
I think your experience really shows in the numbers of your following. You know, a lot of what we're talking about is understanding your audience, right? You know, so having your service and then how it matters to someone. You know, I always say no one cares about what you do until they know that you solve a problem that they have, or and it's different in the B2C world. You know, when you're dealing directly with the consumer, a product that they want or something that they want a piece of. And so many of the consumers these days, you know, corporate social responsibility is such a big thing for them. Like, what is the give back? What is, you know, I'm willing to spend more, like something like a Bombas, and no, we're not being paid by Bombas, but like somebody will pay, you know, $50 for 3 pairs of socks because they're giving it to homeless.
100%. The stats show that, like, I want to say it's close to 70% of consumers will make a buying decision specifically related to whether or not the company that they're considering purchasing from has beliefs or values that align with their own.
Yes.
And when I was a kid, mine was, is the label big enough? Do I have,
And everybody's
is the label on my bongo jeans big enough? And so things have really changed since the 80s.
It's interesting, talking about fashion, like I think it's an interesting place because when I started, I used to work with Yves Saint Laurent himself, so I learned about like high quality of tailoring and like design, it was like the heaven of design, basically working with all these designers. And then what happened is there was a big revolution in fashion, and there was a big corporation that started owning all the designers. LVMH. And they basically started hiring different designers for different brands. So it was the name of the designer Dior, but it wasn't Dior, right? Because a lot of times, Yves Saint Laurent, he died, for example. So they started hiring these designers just for a season, and it changed completely the whole marketing of fashion, right? And then what happened later, the hip hop started. So it's all connected to the pop culture, right? It's all connected. And all my kids listen to hip hop. And then the sneaker marketing came out. So sneakers became really popular. And brands like Supreme happened, which you sell a sweatshirt and it's written Supreme, which completely changed. It's not about the design, it's about the logo.
Yeah.
And I think it's just going in waves, and transforming in so many ways. Now influencers, they have their brands and their designers and they do their things. But I think
sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I think for me, it always goes back to like quality as a model, like I can see, I love going to the stores, not to shop specifically, but just to look at the quality of things. And I'm always curious to see, that.
Let me ask you a question that's related to your own brand and like cause marketing and corporate responsibility. You have this blog, this Model Mom TV blog that really is all about supporting women, right? It's called Model Mom. It's not for models. It's for women who are models to their children, meaning we're teaching them about being good people, about being, responsible citizens, about being good citizens, all of that. How have you aligned that part of you? Because that's a huge part of who you are and what you do. It may not be the household name that everybody else knows you by, but it's a huge part of who you are. How do you bring that? I mean, that's how do you market that related to the cause, and how do all of those things sort of come together?
Well, for me, it's all about supporting others, and breaking stereotypes. Just because I never had that road, when I was a model, like people said, you can't be a mom. And when I was a mom, they said you can't do both. So that's why I started that. And for me, it's just part of my journey of, educating and giving awareness, and also elevating other girls who start out to say that you can do everything you want to do and dream about, and there's a way, So I think we always need to see the way. It's always easier to be second, but to be first in something, it's, I had a lot of doors closed in my face. So I knew that I had to try to figure out a way to open those doors myself in a creative way. And that's why I started Model Mom. And it is just part of, the comedy and everything else, like all those channels that I use to, to spread awareness.
People close the doors in your face. I think that's a big mistake. That was a big mistake on their part.
I want to ask you though, this is sort of unrelated to what we were talking about, but we're coming up on time anyway, and so we'll wrap up here in a minute. But I want to touch on resilience, because I don't think there's any industry that I know of that hands out more rejection than the entertainment industry. And for people who are watching this and maybe thinking about launching a business, are afraid of getting the door shut in their face, I'm sure that you've had experiences where you've sort of had to just pick yourself back up and keep on going. You have any words of wisdom for those, again, who are listening or watching and maybe like, man, I'm afraid to try this again because I already got turned down twice, or I'm afraid to launch this business because my first one failed. Like, what are your strategies for picking yourself up and dusting yourself off after being rejected and moving on to the next thing?
Well, again, I would go to the question, why are you doing what you're doing? And if you're doing it just for yourself and for your ego, that will never work. But if there's actually a bigger mission behind something, just look back at that. Sometimes after you fail, and like I fail on a daily basis, you just have to like sit down, meditate, take that energy out of you and see the light, at the end of the tunnel, literally, because you're doing something for someone else, which means a lot. And literally, I question my life on a daily basis. Like, what if today is the last day I live, right? So there's no tomorrow. And that's why it's easier to jump off the cliff and do something maybe before overthinking it. So I think a lot of times we would overthink and doubt ourselves. But if you have something that you need to do for the better good, it's really easy to start again and have that resilience, because it's not about you or your ego.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
That's really important, so important, and amazing that you keep that in check in Hollywood land, right? In a world that is can easily be smoke and mirrors, but staying true and staying grounded. And what I'm hearing, this is all about authenticity. And when you talk about your why, we're a big Simon Sinek fan, and when you talk about your why and you're coming from the right place, then no matter how many times you fail, if you keep going and you keep moving forward, you're going to find success. So it's so wonderful and amazing to hear, because I fail every single day. So
I know I do.
And don't forget to laugh about it. I think it's super funny. And, at the end of the day, you learn so much more from failure. Honestly, like it's there for a reason, because you can learn so much more and you can get better. It's something you do.
Well, I think the biggest failure is going to find out if Kerry's mask for being on for more than 10 minutes is going to be a failure. And if my foils don't process properly.
It's all right. It's all good. Trust me. It's been a while since I exfoliated. There's a lot that it really has to like grind.
Detox.
Yeah.
Detox.
We're coming up on time, Eugenia. Two questions for you before we wrap up. The first one is this, and it's a question that we always ask all of our guests at the end of a podcast. It's just a way for our audience to get sort of a behind the scenes look at who Eugenia is as a person. And that question is, what is the weirdest thing that's ever happened to you?
Oh my God, like it happens every day. I adopted a chicken once because I adopted a chicken once.
Okay.
So I had a production where they didn't want to pay a chicken's agent. Sorry,
are you kidding? Amazing.
Okay, so many questions, but continue.
So the production didn't want to pay chicken's agent. And they got a chicken from the slaughterhouse. So they're going to return the chicken after the production. And I just couldn't make it happen, So even though I live definitely not in a farm and my husband thought I was totally insane, I adopted a chicken before I would find a farm for the chicken to live. And my friend, she's an amazing advocate for animals. She saves them. So I found a place, but the chicken lived with us for a week. And whenever in our house, with my kids, we named the chicken Sylvie. And whenever we would argue with my husband, the chicken would walk in, and you just can't argue when the chicken walks around.
Oh my gosh, do you have pictures?
Yeah, I do in my Instagram. Yeah, it was like maybe 2 years ago, but
it's amazing. If I walked away with nothing about your journey and I walked away with that chickens need agents, and I had no idea.
Yo, where did we go wrong, Vicki?
I must live under a rock.
Yeah,
they're the easiest. They're the easiest actors to sell. They don't even need a headshot because people.
There's a whole black market for chicken acquisition that we were unaware of, and they're working without agents.
I know.
They're like scabs. Is that what you call actors that aren't part of SAG or something?
Something like that.
They don't need to pay SAG. They don't need to pay SAG dues. That's the good.
I know, and they aren't cheap.
They're cheap.
You know what? It's funny. From being in the news, I am a member of SAG, and I still pay my dues, even though I'm not a on-air news personality anymore. Nevertheless,
this doesn't count.
Maybe not this episode.
I'm sorry, we're having a girls' day at the spa, and Adriana, I'm in the chair next because I'm processing too much.
100%.
Not a problem, not a problem.
thank
Waiting
you,
for you
Adriana.
here.
Yeah, you guys were all in the same room, actually. It's all an illusion. We're all in the same room.
It is. It's amazing.
My last question for you, Eugenia, is if people are interested in finding out more about you, your comedy shows, where they can connect with you, where the Model Mom TV blog, where should people reach out? Where should they search you out?
You know, it's so funny because a lot of times I know I'm asked this question, and you know, people say like spell your name and blah blah blah. But I think you can just Google. You know, that's my safety all the time. Just Google.
Google. And you're on Instagram, and your Instagram account is fabulous, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, just posting at 3 a.m., texting all my ex-boyfriends. You know, that's what I do on Instagram.
There you go.
Hashtag big mistake. That should be.
Yes.
On their part, not yours.
100%.
Eugenia, it was amazing as always to connect with you and talk with you and learn from you. Thank you so incredibly much for your time.
Thank you so much, guys. I learned a lot from you. Like, obviously, your comedy is like on time, so maybe you should.
Maybe there's a collaboration. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I'm saying we should do a threesome tour. It's just a thought. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
I just have to be in bed by 9:30 because my collagen has to process.
Okay. Well, we'll get on and we'll be our glamorous selves tomorrow. Eugenia, thank you. Vicki,
Thank you.
To our
You are delightful. Thank you for having me today.
Of course.
Thank you so much, and I hope, guys, to see you maybe in New York or like sometime connect in this universe somewhere.
When you're in New York, ladies cocktails. I don't care if I go
Okay.
off my starvation diet.
I'll teach you.
Hello, I think it's a business expense. I'm just putting that out there.
Absolutely done. Okay. With that said, I am actually going to bid a fair adieu to our audience. Thank you for watching this episode of the Mavens of Marketing. We'll see you back here next week. Same time, same place.
Ciao for now.
Bye.
It's a teaser.
How important is that headshot? How much more is it than just a picture of your face? How do you know how to take the best shot for you and your entire team? And then how do you leverage that for a marketing asset? All of that and so much more coming up with headshot photographer to the stars, Mark Atterbury, on the next episode of the Mavens of Marketing.